Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining us today for our state planning educational webinar. I'm Pam Klaska. I'm the director of the foundation. I've been here at the Education Foundation for 14 years. It's been a wonderful experience working on behalf of Bexley's students and teachers, and of course, our alumni. I want you to know that our Education Foundation is dedicated to enhancing the educational experience for all students and whatever that looks like for any student in our schools. Excited about today's event. It's the first time we've ever done this, and there's always a first time for everything, and we're really happy to do this. We are, of course, concerned about the long-term value of a Bexley education and ensuring that for future generations. And that's really kind of what today's webinar is about. We've got three very knowledgeable presenters with us, all of whom are donating their time to provide an overview on the benefits of various types of plan giving vehicles and some strategies that you could put in place now for the people and the organizations you care about. I do kind of want to make this special kind of disclaimer in that the content presented today is general in nature and intended for informational purposes only. And we recommend you contact your professional advisors, attorneys, or any of those who make decisions that impact your particular circumstances. So just quickly, here's how things are going to work for our webinar. In order to provide sort of anonymity for those who are participating today, you cannot be seen or heard, but questions are encouraged. And that's why we have the question and answer function here on the webinar, and you can use that to ask questions at the end of each of the segments that our presenters are doing. I should also note that the webinar is being recorded, and it will be available both on YouTube and on our Bexley Education Foundation website. So now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our current Bexley Education Foundation board chair, who is one of today's featured speakers, Adam Eisenberg. Adam began his career at Northwestern Mutual Life in 1996, focusing on life insurance planning for families and businesses. He is a principal at Sokol Eisenberg Insurance, which is a full-service boutique agency here in Columbus. So with that, I'll turn it over to Adam.
Thank you, Pam, for the kind intro. Not only am I the current board chair and a 1991 graduate of Bexley High School, but I'm also the proud parent of two Bexley grads and a current BHS sophomore. I know there are many fellow Bexley alumni on the Zoom today, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you being here and taking the time to join us. With that said, I'd like to take a few minutes to provide some information about the benefits of using life insurance for a planned gift. This strategy happens to be the one that my wife and I found to be the most attractive when we decided to include the foundation in our estate plan. I feel compelled to interject that planned giving should always be above and beyond your annual support of any organization, not in lieu of it. Should a question arise in the next few minutes, please type it into the Q&A, and I will do my best to answer it before this program ends. If it is personal in nature, please send Pam an email, and she will soon get back to you. When the topic of charitable giving arises, there are a few strategies that allow for the leveraging of your gifting dollars, like life insurance. Not only is this vehicle an excellent way to leave a lasting, meaningful gift after your passing, it also allows you to contribute more than you might otherwise give or be able to afford. And depending on how you structure this gift, there's an excellent chance that you could also benefit from not only immediate tax benefits, but long-term benefits as well. There are two ways to make a gift using life insurance: by either transferring an existing policy or purchasing a new one. For those that have an interest in transferring an existing life insurance policy to the Bexley Education Foundation, it's really as simple as 1, 2, 3. To transfer ownership of an existing policy that you currently already own, completing an ownership change form is all that is needed, literally signing your name a couple of times. Once this form is completed, the foundation will then become the policy owner and the beneficiary of the contract. At that time, once the transfer does occur, an immediate tax deduction is realized, having gifted the policy to a 501c3 for the cash surrender value of the contract. To learn more about this or how this could apply to your situation, it is highly encouraged that you speak with your tax professional or accountant to learn more. As Pam mentioned, we're not here giving legal or accounting advice during this time. To give you an idea how this strategy works, let me tell you about Oscar and Maria, who graduated in the class of 1971. In 1999, the couple purchased a second to die whole life insurance policy that covers both husband and wife, and the policy has a current cash value of $300,000. Oscar and Maria have paid annually over the past 25 years $8,000, and their cumulative contribution into the policy is $200,000, 25 installments of $8,000 a year. In 2025, Oscar and Maria are now interested in gifting this policy outright to their favorite nonprofit, and accordingly, they are entitled to a charitable deduction of $200,000, since their basis, their contribution, is less than the current policy value of $300,000. At the death of the second spouse, the foundation will then receive the tax-free death benefit. For those that find it advantageous to purchase a new life insurance policy for the benefit of the foundation, there are suggested ways to fund the gift that will provide for an immediate tax deduction. This can be done by ensuring that all new policies are owned by the Bexley Education Foundation, and premium payments will be made payable to the foundation in the form of cash, securities, or philanthropic fund transfers. Once your gift is received at the foundation, the BEF will substantiate the gift for tax purposes and then forward the premium payments directly to the insurance company. To avoid any misunderstanding regarding payments and the use of future premiums, it is recommended that a written gift or pledge agreement is in place between the foundation and you, the donor. This agreement includes a promise from you that you will make the annual premium payments to the foundation, and the premium dollars will then be directed to the insurance company to cover the annual costs. This strategy allows for the foundation to be the owner and the beneficiary of the contract from inception. The slide that is now on the screen provides sample annual premiums for a $100,000 life insurance policy. As you can see from the difference in premiums, securing a policy at an earlier age is always attractive. I'm taking a look at the Q&A, and it looks like it's empty. So that means I either did a fantastic job explaining the concept of using life insurance, or no one has come up with anything good to ask me. With that being said, I'd love to turn it over to Pam to introduce our next speaker.
Great. Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate that. And people who are interested in life insurance, it is a very easy gift to do, and I'd encourage you to learn more about it. Now I would like to introduce Nikki Mesnard. Nikki is a 2008 graduate of Capital University Law School and she currently practices as a tax planning and transactional attorney here in Bexley. Nikki started her career clerking for the Honorable Lawrence Belskis at the Franklin County Probate Court and has continued in private practice. She represents high net worth families and individuals with respect to their business and personal planning. She and her family live in Eastmore, and they actually own our local beer and wine shop here in Bexley called Grain and Grape. It's been a pleasure to get to know Nikki. She's an amazingly accomplished attorney, and we're so lucky to have her today. So welcome, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Pam. I'm very happy to be here. My family did not go to Bexley High School. However, we have many friends in this community, and we are very fortunate to be part of this 43209 community. So as Pam said, I work with a lot of individuals with respect to their personal planning, business planning, and transactions. And one of the things that we review with clients regularly is their estate planning. So many people, when we sit down and talk about estate planning, they think, oh, this is just about planning for death. And that's not what estate planning is only. Estate planning is also about planning to enrich your life, the lives of your loved ones, and the lives of your community. Estate planning and tax planning and financial planning all go hand in hand. And that's why we have a life insurance person, we have a financial planner on the call today. All of these topics should go hand in hand, and the conversations do overlap. So when I sit down with clients to talk about estate planning, we obviously want to think about things like making sure that your estate and affairs are in order and that you have clarity and instructions for your family and your loved ones. But we also take a look strategically at what you have to make sure that we capture opportunities for you to make meaningful gifts or meaningful transfers of your assets that have tax advantages for you. When I sit down with my clients, we always say that estate planning requires two very important and necessary steps. One of those steps is to make sure that you have an appropriate set of documents that expresses your wishes, that legally authorizes people to be able to do things for you and for your estate. And we want to make sure that we have those documents in place, like wills and trusts and powers of attorney. The second important part of estate planning, though, is making sure we know what you have, because we need to make sure that you know how those assets are going to transfer and through what instructions or through what method those assets are going to transfer. When we look at what you have, it also, like I said, gives us the opportunity to capture, hey, there might be a tax advantage with doing something like giving this asset to charity or making sure this asset goes to a certain type of beneficiary. And we are able to start having that conversation with our clients. So when I sit down and talk about estate planning with clients, it really starts becoming a lifelong discussion about your overall wealth management and your strategies for holding your assets and deciding what you do with your assets. So one of the things that we talk about is, of course, charitable planning. And we don't necessarily want to do charitable planning only for the tax benefits, which we're going to talk about quite a bit here. But we always start with charitable intent. We want to make sure that if you have a desire to create legacy or to make sure that you make a meaningful impact on your community, we want to start there. And obviously, all of you are in attendance today because of the fact that Bexley holds a place in your heart. So we start with that charitable intent, but then we look again at those opportunities to make sure that you have tax advantageous gifts that you can make to charities. We like to find ways in the planning world where you can make a gift to a charity or to any beneficiary, and there's potentially a benefit back to you, whether a reduction in taxes or a reduction in taxes to both parties who are involved in that transaction. And so we're going to walk through now a couple strategies for how we recommend that individuals look at making charitable gifts, for example, to the Bexley Education Foundation. One of those strategies is what we call donor advised funds. Donor advised funds are individual funds that you get to create and you get to control. And they are created with a sponsored 501c3 organization like the Columbus Foundation. Every major financial institution also has a charitable arm so that you can create a donor advised fund directly with your financial services professional, whether it's Raymond James or any other kind of financial institution. So your donor advised fund is in and of itself a 501c3 entity, which means that when you give contributions to that fund, even though you control it, that is a charitable contribution. And so donor advised funds can create a lot of flexibility for individuals to plan long term. So for example, let's say you have a donor advised fund and you put money into this donor advised fund in a year where you have a lot of income, or maybe you sold a business and you have a lot of capital gains from a business transaction. You can do certain gifts into your donor advised fund so that you can get the charitable deduction in the year that you make a large gift into that donor advised fund, but you don't have to distribute it out of that fund until you decide that you want to, which might be at later years. So it gives you flexibility to take the charitable deduction in a year when you want to take it and then make the distributions out over time. Donor advised funds are also a really great tool for you to build a legacy and a culture of philanthropy within your own family. Because it is advised by the donor, you get to control and direct where those funds go out of your donor advised fund. And so that you can name your children to be successor advisors to that. And you can ask your children to start helping make decisions about the types of organizations that you want to give to. Over time, let's say you make annual gifts to that donor advised fund and you say, at the end of my life, out of my estate, I want X amount of dollars to go into this fund so that it can be endowed. Those are definitely opportunities that you can fulfill as well with having a donor advised fund so that you can make a lasting impact by growing that fund over the course of time. The second strategy that we're going to talk about is this idea of lumping gifts in high income tax years. And I touched on that when I talked about donor advised funds. Because our personal tax deduction and exemptions are so high, your personal deduction, in order to itemize your deductions, you have to have a lot, very high deduction amounts. So you can't take advantage of a charitable deduction if you don't exceed that individual, the personal deduction that you already get with the IRS. So when you have a high income tax year, you might want to take advantage of being able to itemize your deductions. And so we have this concept of lumping gifts and making a large gift in that year so that you can take advantage of itemizing your deductions in that year. And you can certainly use a donor advised fund to place a large charitable contribution in that fund during a year when you have a lot of income. Another concept that we have in charitable planning is naming charities as beneficiaries to reduce estate tax liability. One of the main areas that we look at here is with retirement accounts. So most retirement accounts, when you give assets or you contribute assets into that retirement account over your working years, those are oftentimes made pre-tax, meaning that there was no tax paid on them, those contributions at the time that you made them. And so when you withdraw those assets, all of that withdrawal is taxable income. It's very common for me to sit down with clients, and a good example, let's say I'm working with a physician and they've had a successful career and have $6 million in retirement assets in an IRA. That IRA is supporting that physician, and that physician might say, hey, I don't need all of this income. There are a couple things that this physician could consider. That physician could consider making a qualified charitable distribution out of the IRA RMDs directly to a charity like BEF, so that the physician does not have to report that income on his or her income tax return. It is an above the line deduction, and so that income from a required minimum distribution doesn't even have to hit their income tax return. The other consideration here is, let's say that physician has other assets, a vacation home, other savings, and the physician says, you know, my children are going to receive a wonderful inheritance from me, but I do want to give some to charity. We always recommend making your charitable beneficiary designations or making charitable designations out of those retirement assets, because if that physician's children inherits the retirement account will be taxable income to that family and to the physician's children. Instead, we say, why don't you name BEF as 50% beneficiary of your retirement account? And that means BEF gets that 50% of the retirement account tax-free. Nobody pays the tax on that because the physician named the charity on that IRA. Another planning strategy that we talk about is the use of charitable gift annuities. With the Bexley Education Foundation, you can establish through certain financial institutions an annuity where you might say, you know what, I can't make a huge gift to a charity right now. I need some kind of income stream, or I need some support during my lifetime, but I want to make sure that if I have assets left over, that it goes to a charity that is valuable to me. And so charitable gift annuities are a really good option for individuals with this intent, where you can purchase an annuity that will pay you an income stream during your lifetime, and then at the end of your life will allow the remainder of that annuity to go directly to the charity. And then there are options with trusts. There are many, many different types of trusts. But when we're talking about using trusts for charitable purposes, we can create complex structures that allow you to receive income during your lifetime and leave the remainder of your trust to a beneficiary like the BEF, or do the opposite, where you make a gift up front to the Bexley Education Foundation or to receive an income stream from your trust, and then your family receives the remainder at the end of your life. So there are many interesting things that we can do with trust planning as well. So when we talk about these strategies, one of the important decisions that we make with clients is making sure that you work with well-qualified charities that are going to be around to carry out your wishes. The Bexley Education Foundation is a great option and a great choice because it is, as a foundation, established in conjunction with the Columbus Foundation. They are set up to be able to continue into perpetuity, to be able to carry out charitable intent and charitable wishes. So whenever we're looking at charitable gifts, we always want to make sure, of course, it's going to a 501c3 entity, which BEF is. As a foundation, they are able to carry out your wishes long term. The Bexley Education Foundation has existed for 40 years and can continue to exist in perpetuity. And it has directed more than $8 million in grants to support the Bexley schools. Their impact grants have funded facility improvements, technology upgrades and innovations, staff development, and district priorities and initiatives. And there is governance built into a foundation like BEF, which is very important to make sure that you have checks and balances and a group of people making decisions together. So there is a grants committee that recommends grants that are made from the Bexley Education Foundation. And then those must also then be approved by the full Board of Governors. So when we are doing this planning with clients, there are many things to consider with charitable giving, but it definitely is part of your estate plan, also part of your financial plan. Do we have any questions? Okay, I'll turn it back over to Pam.
Thanks, Nikki. Thank you. Oh my gosh. You are a wealth of information, and I'm sure that we will get questions following up here on our webinar. Thank you again. Now I'd like to introduce our third presenter today, and it's a great pleasure for me to do that because I've had the chance to work with Preston Elliott over the years, who served on our foundation board, later becoming the chair of our board. He is a 1986 Bexley graduate and is the managing director and senior VP of investments for the Allied Group at Raymond James here in Bexley. His team is focused on providing trusted advice and tailored investment strategies to both individuals and organizations, and we consider him a very trusted advisor to our organization. So Preston, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Pam. I love the pictures of the kids, by the way. It is a great reminder of what it's all about. And we could just do that all day and just go from there. But we want to pass along some some content here, give you some things to think about in terms of the state planning decisions and your philanthropic wishes. As Pam mentioned, I was born and raised in Bexley, and I went away to college and grad school. And it was during that time that I really learned to appreciate the value of the Bexley education. For those that were in my grade, they would attest that I was not as focused of a student as I could have been. And but I really did learn to appreciate at college at Indiana University. When I was in classes, it became evident fairly early on that there was a really strong foundation that I had picked up, probably by osmosis. But there was a great foundation that was established through the Bexley schools. And it's simply you go into a large class and you felt like you might have had an advantage in that day and age based on where you came from. Over time, while I was working in Chicago and Minneapolis, I also learned to appreciate the community and eventually moved back to Bexley and got to witness the benefits my children received from the Bexley education as well, and started to give back out of gratitude. And that's where I got the opportunity to serve on the board and chaired the organization almost a decade ago. And to that end, my wife Jill, our own estate work does include the Bexley Education Foundation as a beneficiary. It's pretty easy when you're on the inside to see the care in which they treat donor dollars. And, so that was an easy gift for us to make. I'd like to pass along some strategies and some ways that a financial advisor can help in this process. Clearly, the Nickies of the world do the heavy lifting with the filing of documents and the specialized legal language that they've got. They've got the ability to provide. Oftentimes, Adam and myself would be on the advising side, and we would work with the client. Many of our clients, once they've realized that they will comfortably be able to satisfy their life wishes in retirement and taking care of family members that are important to them, evaluate how and where they want to pass them. And that could be during their lifetime, it could be following their lifetime. But we get very involved in that process as well. So the most common, as Nikki had mentioned, was simply making an adjustment to a beneficiary designation. And you could do this on a life insurance policy, as Adam had mentioned. You can also do it on an individual retirement account or a 401k. Just list the organization that you want to see a gift as one of the beneficiaries, and it's as simple as one piece of paper. An additional common method is something called a qualified charitable distribution. This is a distribution directly from a retirement plan account. You must be over the age of 70 and a half years or older, but this gift is not included in your taxable income, and it also counts towards your required minimum distribution that kicks in after the age of 74. So it's a common strategy, straight from the retirement account, not included in your income, and it's a way to leverage the gift because it's a pre-tax gift, yet you get the full deduction as well. The other common strategy that we see is donating appreciated securities. And this is something that some people out there may be familiar with, but in doing this, it enables the donor to avoid the capital gain taxation on an appreciated security. And as a result, they will be able to make likely a larger gift. And the recipient, in most cases, as a 501c3, can sell it tax-free, and they can also leverage the receipt of the gift. The math is math, and I'd like to take you through a little bit of an example here on what that would look like. So in the event an investor bought 100 shares of ABC stock at $10 a share 5 years ago. This would create a cost basis. It's a tax term of how much did it cost you for that asset. It would create a cost basis on the purchase of $1,000. Let's say that ABC did a really good job, and 5 years later, it now trades at $50 a share. It's grown quite a bit. It's been a great stock. The market value of that, or what you could sell it for today, would be $5,000. If the investor sold the 100 shares of ABC and donated the proceeds to charity, they would own capital gain taxes on that transaction. So they'd receive $5,000, and you reduce it by your cost basis, the $1,000. Capital gains tax, the most common capital gains tax bracket is 20%. That would amount to an $800 tax bill. And after selling it, the net donation could be $4,200. If instead you decided to make the shares donated directly, and most nonprofits, including the Bexley Education Foundation, do accept shares of stock as a donation. If you did this directly, you would receive the full value of the donation, the $5,000. The receiving organization would receive the $5,000 gift, oftentimes selling it immediately capital gain free, since they are a charity, and be able to use the entire $5,000 for their cause rather than $4,200. So it's a way to, we call it, it's a little bit flip, but we call it disinheriting the IRS. And you can take that money that might have gone for taxation and direct it to your cause versus somebody else's cause. These are a few of the most common strategies we work with. I would simply point out that I would engage the services of a financial advisor, an insurance advisor, an estate attorney, or any other trusted advisor to highlight the strategy that works best for you, because there are many, and they can be extremely effective and extremely efficient in plan given. With that, are there any questions, Pam, in the queue?
You see any? No?
I will turn it back for
Okay.
Pam. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Preston. I just want to make a couple comments today to kind of, as we wrap up here. I thank all the presenters, first of all. You're amazing. And reminding our attendees today that our webinar has been recorded and will be available both on YouTube and on our website. And we will be letting our community members, our school community members, our donors, as well as all of our alumni know that this information is available. I think it's great that our presenters presented this information. I hope in a way that I think you found easy to follow along with, because really, if you do want to make this kind of gift and create this kind of legacy, it can be done, and it really doesn't take a lot. Let me tell you a little bit about what it means. These gifts would mean to us as a foundation. Currently, the way it works here at the foundation is that estate gifts that are not designated, meaning they can be used for what is most needed for the foundation to support the public schools. Those gifts go into the Bexley Education Foundation's organizational endowment held at the Columbus Foundation. That becomes the repository for our estate gifts. That being said, those dollars then become available when the Bexley schools come to us, like they have done many, many times, to say, we have an urgent need. The last time that occurred was at the start of COVID, when the school district said, we have an urgent need to provide education for our students who can no longer be in the classrooms, but not all of our students can learn remotely because they don't each have devices to learn from home. Can you, Education Foundation, can you help us with about $1 million to make sure that Bexley students do not fall behind in their education? And we were able to turn to our foundation account held where our estate gifts are held to make that happen. We also did raise some money as well, but that provided the opportunity for all of those students who would not have been able to connect to the school to continue their education, to allow them to do that. We don't know what's in the future, but we know that if with a healthy amount of dollars available, that we can meet the needs of our kids, our school, our teachers, our administrators, as they navigate the future of public education in the years ahead. So an estate gift to us creates not only a legacy for you, but your legacy only means that the future of education in Bexley will continue at the highest level. So just wanted to leave you with that message. I do want to thank everyone again who participated. I want to thank our wonderful presenters I'm so lucky to have as partners in this effort. I would encourage anyone who's interested to reach out to me personally. My email is on this slide with any questions. I would also encourage you to visit our website where we not only will have this video, but we do have some additional information about planned giving on there as well. And I want to thank everyone and thank you for being part of our presentation today. And I look forward to hopefully hearing from you in the future. Have a good rest of your afternoon.